Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I really hope you're all well. Today I'm coming at you with a book haul that I've been super excited to film. I've got a big stack of books here and I also have a load on my Kindle just to kind of get through and show you. So I'm just going to kick straight off because there is quite a lot to get through. So the first book I've got to show you is City of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This I've already read and it was fabulous. So I think I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads, I think, or 4.5 out of 5. I love this. I think I've mentioned a couple of times recently that I've been kind of feeling a little bit disconnected with the Shadowhunter books, and I think it's just because I've reached an age now where I'm 28 and obviously most of the characters in the Shadowhunters universe are kind of either teenagers or very early 20s, so I feel like I can't really identify to them anymore the same way that I did when I first read The Mortal Instruments. However, I had high hopes for this and honestly I was not disappointed in the slightest. Like, I absolutely loved it. I am going to give you my thoughts further, I think, in a wrap-up video. When did I read this? I finished reading this at the start of this month, that's it. So yes, I can give you my thoughts in my April wrap-up video, so keep an eye out for that when it comes. But yeah, I absolutely loved this book. This follows the children of the characters featured in The Infernal Devices. It's set back at the London Institute, I think in like the early 1900s. And I just really loved it. I loved the friendships in this. The humour was wonderful. It was one of those books that actually genuinely made me laugh out loud, and I do think that's quite difficult to do. Ordinarily, like, I'll admit where like I find something funny, I'll be like huh in my head, but it's very rare for me to actually laugh out loud at a book, and I really did with this one. I just absolutely loved it. I love the characters, I love the setting, I love the plot, and I'm so happy that there's going to be another couple of books in this trilogy. I think it's going to be the Last Hours trilogy. Yeah, I can't wait for the next one already. So yeah, I hope that it's released pretty soon, because honestly, like, this was just everything. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, this is the collector's first edition. And I feel like it should have arrived with a dust jacket on. It doesn't have one, which is really annoying. But it does have some character art at the very front, which I think is really cute. But yeah, I absolutely love this book. So this was a very good purchase. Next up we have City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. This was my birthday present from my best friend Holly, and I'm so excited to read this. So me and Holly have a tradition where every single birthday and every Christmas we buy each other a book. So we kind of give each other a little list and then just obviously pick one off the list for each other. And this was the one that I was hoping I would get this year, and I'm really happy she got it me. So this is by the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and it follows a girl called Vivian who goes to New York in the 1940s. She's getting kind of like exiled from her parents. She's studying, she's wanting to become a seamstress, and then she becomes involved with the showgirls at a playhouse in New York, and then kind of finds herself embroiled in 1940s New York society. It just sounds like a whole lot of fun, and I'm really excited to get stuck into this. I kind of wanted to read it for the owls this month. I was hoping that it would fit in with one of the prompts, but it doesn't, so that's kind of annoying. But I might get to it after I finish my owls reads, because I'm on my second to last owls book now, so there might be enough time before the end of the month to get dug into this. But yeah, I'm really excited to give it a go. I've never read anything by Elizabeth Gilbert before, but I have heard good things about this, so yeah, I'm excited. Now we have 3 editions of the same book, and honestly I don't think any of you are going to be surprised at the author, considering I have now done 3 videos that are heavily focused on Sarah J Maas. But we have 3 editions of House of Earth and Blood. So this was the first one. I got this for the release. This was just my pre-order copy, and it's the generic UK hardback edition with the nice end pages. This was the copy that I read, but I then got my hands on the Waterstones exclusive edition with the sprayed edges. I decided to treat myself after reading it and realising this is one of my all-time favourite books of all time ever now. So I haven't read this edition, but again, I think it's one that I will read because it's so pretty, and yeah, I want to read it, but it's not my most special edition because I didn't realise, but Waterstones were still selling the tour exclusive, and I had to get it, the tour edition, when I realised. It arrived this week and it's just everything. Like, I just love the cover. It's got "Through Love all is possible" on the back, and then my absolute favourite bit about the whole thing is the fact that it's signed. I don't have anything signed by Sarah J Maas, so this was just like everything when I realised I could get it. I didn't even think that this would be signed because obviously I hadn't got a ticket for the tour, so I just thought everyone's tour editions that were signed were because they actually had a ticket and that she just signed them before she sent them all out. I didn't realise that that was actually, if you just bought the tour edition, you were going to get a signed copy. So I was thrilled when I realised that. This arrived this week, and honestly, like, it was the most amazing moment when I opened it and I was like, Oh my god. So yeah, really happy about this. This one I probably won't read. This will probably be kept for special, I was about to say special occasions. There's no special occasion. This will probably just be kept in my pile of special books because I don't want to risk wrecking it or anything like that. But I'll definitely read the Waterstones exclusive edition at some point, I think, just because the sprayed edges are so pretty. It deserves to at least be read rather than just sat on a shelf. I'm sure you guys will agree. Next up, we have some books that I got from Foyles with a voucher that my auntie very kindly got me for my birthday. So first of all, we have Calypso by David Sedaris. I absolutely love this cover. It feels like wood. It's beautiful. So this is just a collection of apparently very funny short stories by David Sedaris. This is the first of his books that I'm going to have read, and I basically got introduced to his work from watching a YouTuber that I like. Is actually a fashion YouTuber called Lizzie Hadfield. She's really into reading. She gives really great book recommendations, and she reads things that are typically quite out of my normal comfort zone, I guess, but this is one of the ones that she's been talking about quite a lot and saying how funny it is. So I thought, right, okay, fine, we'll give it a go. It's quite short, so again, I don't think it'll take me too long to get through. It might be something that I maybe reach for at the end of the month. I think at the minute getting any kind of light relief as well is obviously high on everybody's agenda. So yeah, I'm excited to give this a go, and the cover is also obviously, like I've already said, very aesthetically pleasing to me. Yeah. Next we have Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This is doing the rounds everywhere at the minute, so I figured that I wanted to pick up a copy because everyone's saying how good it is. I don't really know what it's about, so I'm just going to read the blurb to you, and yeah. So for years, rumours of the Marsh Girl have haunted Barclay Cove, a quiet town on the North Carolina coast. So in late 1969, when handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, the so-called Marsh Girl. But Kaya is not what they say. Sensitive and intelligent, she has survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the gulls and lessons in the sand. Then the time comes when she yearns to be loved. When two young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to a new life and the unthinkable happens. It says it's a murder mystery and a coming-of-age narrative, so I think like that's kind of what drew me in. I read about like the murder aspect of it, and I'm in kind of like a thriller mood at the moment, which is weird because I'm never normally in a thriller mood. And I'm also kind of in a romance mood as well. So I figured that's probably a really great book to read for my current mindset. Speaking of thrillers as well, we also have Here and Gone by Halen Beck. Now, this is just like a missing child thriller set in Arizona. I love anything set in Arizona. I fell in love in Arizona last year and with Arizona last year. So yeah, it's a special place, and this book I'm just really excited to kind of get stuck into it just because of where it's set pretty much more than anything else. And finally we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I nearly said Holly Black then, but it's definitely not by her. This is by Holly Jackson. So this follows a girl who is investigating a murder case from her town's history as part of like her school's final project exam thing. The case is closed, it has been for years, but she thinks there might be a little bit more to it than meets the eye, so she kind of digs in deep and goes to figure out if actually what they say happened. This appeals to me because a lot of it is kind of told with like interview transcripts, and there's just like the stuff is a little bit more like, and it's not just kind of pages and pages of text, you know. It reminds me a little bit in that respect of the Illuminae files. I really loved reading them because obviously it was made up of like interview transcripts and emails and like a lot of social media logs and things like that, and I just kind of enjoyed having a little bit of like a different reading experience. So that's why I have reached with this. I'm very excited to get stuck into this. This is very YA, so I think it will probably be quite a quick read, but again, I've heard good things, so I'm just excited to get stuck in. Next up, I have quite a few things on my Kindle, so I'm just gonna open it up and remind myself of what exactly I've bought. Okay, so I'm going to put pictures of the books on the screen somewhere here or here for you so you can see, but the first one is Why Now Is the Time to Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V is a marketing titan. He's incredible. He turned his family's business around so it was grossing multi millions of dollars very quickly, and he's somebody that I definitely look up to, but I've not actually read any of his books, so I figured during this quarantine period would be the right time for me to maybe delve in and read a few of his books and just see if it gives me any tips, anything that I don't already know about kind of my day job, that kind of thing, and a little bit more motivation. So that is why I got that. I haven't read it yet, but I'm quite excited to delve in. So we have Wall Street Titan and Titan's Addiction, both by Anna Zares. Now I've read both of these. These were a kind of very typical romance set in New York City, obviously involving like a billionaire Wall Street guru guy falling in love with an unassuming regular chick, and it was one of those very typical like kind of feel-good romances. I mean, I say a little bit feel-good, like I'm not going to ruin it because again I'm going to talk about these in my next wrap-up video, but there was some elements of it that did make me feel uncomfortable, but I do feel like that is the case with quite a few of these romance books anyway. Like for the most part they're a fun read, but there is definitely some problematic elements to them. These were no different. They were very quick reads though. I did enjoy them, but yeah, I read both of them. I also got 2 books by Vi Keelan. So one was Inappropriate, which I have also read. Again, very similar. Successful businessman falls in love with less successful girl, like a very typical romance tropes. This is the kind of mood that I'm in at the moment. I haven't read The Naked Truth yet, but again follows a very similar theme. So we also have The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I think I've told you guys a couple of times working through a list of 100 books to read before you die, and The Road is on that list. This follows a story of a guy and his son, and they're walking across a post-apocalyptic America. I don't know anything else about that. I believe there's a movie adaptation, but I won't be watching that until I've read the book. I'm quite excited to get stuck into it. I don't know if it's going to be enjoyable or if I'm going to find it quite difficult to get through. I read On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I can never pronounce his name. I believe it's Kerouac. Please don't slaughter me in the comments if I've mispronounced that. And it's one of those books that I so wanted to enjoy because I love the premise of it, but then when I read it and it was just kind of like a constant stream of consciousness type narrative, I was just like, oh my god, I don't know if I can mesh well with this book. I think the story was good, but like obviously I just did not enjoy the way it was written. I do want to give it another go because like I say, I did enjoy the actual overall story. So yeah, I'm hoping that The Road by Cormac McCarthy is not going to be another on the road experience for me. Lock Every Door by Riley Sager is the next one. Again, I'm in a very thrillery mood. I can't actually remember what this one is about. I think, if I remember correctly, it is about a girl who takes a job house sitting for somebody, but then things in the building just turn out to be not quite what they seem. Everyone's been going on about how great it is, so that's kind of why I picked it up. I was going to pick it up in physical format when I did my physical book haul from Foyles, but they only had it in hardback and I just was not wanting to spend £16.99 on a thriller, so I was like, no, I'll get it on my Kindle. But I'm excited. It's I think going to be quite a like a fast-paced read. I also have Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. I don't actually know what this is about at all. I know this is his first horror novel, and I believe this is more of like an adult fiction than a teen/YA fiction like The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I'm excited to get stuck into it. I like reading a horror occasionally. I haven't read one since I read It back in October last year, so I'm definitely excited to get stuck into it. And I did love Perks of Being a Wallflower, so I'm hoping that I love this as much, but who knows. I'm excited though. Then I have A Lesson in Thorns by Sarah Simone, I think her name is. Sorry, I'm just like reading it off my Kindle. So A Lesson in Thorns I've had on my TBR for a little while. I believe this is quite like an erotic romance novel. I actually watched another YouTuber, and I can't remember who it was, talk about this recently, and she's made me kind of more excited to read it on one hand and also kind of dreading reading on another when she talks about some of the themes within the book, but I'm interested anyway. I think it follows somebody who goes to work at a manor house and kind of gets involved with a sex cult, I think, but I mean, I could be way off the mark there. We shall see. I'm kind of excited to read it. I have American Queen, also by the same author. Now, I don't actually know what this is about. I just downloaded it on a whim. I think this is about like American Society girls, but I'm not 100% certain. I'm watching Gossip Girl at the minute, so that also probably explains why I'm kind of into the whole like New York American Society whatever right now. But yes. I'm doing a terrible job of summing up these books. And finally I have Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. Now, I have actually already read Noughts and Crosses. I read it when I was quite a lot younger. I think I was about 8 or 9, and it was the first book to ever make me cry at the very end. And I can remember what happens at the end, but I can't remember kind of any of the events that happened leading up to it. I just remember at the time of reading it, you know, I'm very lucky. I've grown up, obviously I'm white, I'm female, I'm from a, I wouldn't say necessarily a middle class family, because we had a lot of a lot of things that we went through when I was younger that do not belong on the internet, but it wasn't an easy upbringing. However, I'm very much, you know, lucky to be a member of that kind of like middle class demographic now. Although we had some struggles when I was growing up, obviously I was very privileged in kind of never having struggles with race, never having struggles with anything like my identity or anything like that. And obviously when I first read this as like an 8-year-old, it took me aback because I had lived such a sheltered life in that respect. Like I'd never I don't think I'd ever actually really understood racism up until reading this book, because it was never something that had affected me personally. And obviously, like, you know, I was 8 and I'm, you know, like it wouldn't have done, you know, but I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this, but it was kind of like a very eye-opening book for me anyway, and it was one that has stuck with me then the whole way through my life. So that is also on the 100 books to read before you die list, and I was definitely excited to get my hands on a copy and read it again, because it has always, like I say, stuck with me. I remember finding it like shocking, harrowing, eye-opening. I remember being really upset by it, but I think it's definitely taught me a lot as well, you know. And it's a very interesting book in the sense it flips society and race on its head. Everything's kind of like back to front to how it is in our current society, and it was just really, really interesting to look at it in that way. I'm just so excited to delve back into it and to kind of reintroduce myself to the characters. I think they were called Seffi and Callum, I think. And I can't, like I say, I can't actually remember the kind of intricacies of the story, only kind of what happens at the very end, which obviously I'm not going to spoil for you guys if you've not already read it. I think the BBC have made it into a drama recently, so you may be able to find that on BBC iPlayer as well. And I'm going to look into that after I reread it, because I definitely want to watch it if that is the case. But yeah, I am really, really excited to get to it. So that was a very convoluted way of saying I'm very excited to reread a book from my childhood. Yeah. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed that book haul. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Please let me know if you've read any of these books as well in the comments, or if there are any books based on these that you think that I would enjoy, that you think I need to pick up again. I'm trying my hardest not to buy too many books. I know that probably doesn't reflect that aim, but I have been trying to be a lot better with my book buying over the past couple months, because I have a huge pile of about 50 books that I need to read, and I really don't need to be buying any more, but we both know that I will do. So yeah, definitely leave me your recommendations in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye guys.